like I've been working on this all day long because one of the things that I was actually wanting to do was um, rather than just kind of talking, I wanted to actually have you guys see some code and actually go through coding, like rapid prototyping something with you guys, and then actually give you a chance to do some coding yourselves and basically, see what I did and then do the same thing yourselves. And then we end up making a little thing together. Um, so I ended up spending the whole day recording myself coding in pieces with lots of interruptions from my cat and my kid. So I'll put that video up, once I've finished kind of patching it all together in iMovie. I'll put it up on YouTube. I'll send you the link, so you'll be able to see the whole video. My idea for this talk, well, I'll just get into it, and we'll go from there. That's part of the talk is what's the plan. So fasten your seat belts. Let's go.
All right, the floor is yours.
All right, let me just pull up the talk. All right. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Let me see if I can actually go to the window. Okay, there we go. All right. So rapid prototyping in Rust. Write fast like Python, run fast like C. That's the first draft of that title. I think I wanted to change it at some point to write fast, run fast. But yeah, that's the idea. It's, how do I get going? Um, some lessons I learned from when I first started coding in Rust. So about me, my name's Roman. I'm known as Spider-Man in my team. You'll soon know why. I'm a coder. Uh, I work at FN Chart, and FN Chart is basically um, we're a startup. We believe in challenging understanding, seeing things differently, putting facts in context. To do this, we seek out meaningful visualizations of data that are strongly correlated to news reporting, combine it with social media interaction, and we've applied these principles to financial markets where we're attempting to answer the most common question asked by investors when they see a stock chart. And that question is, what happened? So if you want to know what happened, just check the FN chart. So our stack, I'm mainly responsible for the infrastructure, for the web crawler, where we gather basically all of the various news. It's about 50 lines of code written in Rust, store everything in DynamoDB. Who's this talk aimed at? It's really aimed at subscribers of our puns or our dad jokes, and you'll see why. Those that are new to Rust but have gone through the Rust book are able to read and understand basic Rust code and want to know how to get started. Now, one other thing that I wanted to give you guys is actually uh, a cheat sheet that I put together for Rust from when I went through the Rust book. Um, I've found it quite useful to me when I was getting started, just to quickly look up, what's the syntax for something, or what does something mean. So I can actually put the link to that in the chat right now. So I'll put that in the chat right now. Where is it here? Come on. Okay, I'll put it in the chat in a second here. I thought I had it open, but I've got way too many screens open. Okay, I think I got it here. Yeah, I've got like 5 windows going, or 5 screens going.
Did you intend for
There you go.
did you intend for the slides not to be in full screen?
I can put them in full screen. I had some notes I had there, so I'll take them out of full screen if I forget what
Okay.
what the thing is. But here you go. Is that better? Everybody can see.
Uh,
Uh,
it doesn't look like it's changed at all.
no,
Yeah,
that's
at
so
least
weird. Okay, hold on.
not.
Let me start again to present that thing or select the window again. Okay. So with this thing, I can't actually select the window if it's full screen, if it's in presentation mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select the whole entire screen. And, you know, all right. So if everybody can see that, say nothing because I can't see the chat.
It's much better.
Actually, you know what I'll do is I'll actually move this window to my other screen and then I can still see there we go. Okay, beautiful. Off to the races. All right, so yeah, we went through this. Who's it aimed at? Okay, how do you navigate the? Oh, there we go. Okay, what is this talk not about? It's not about writing production-ready code. It's not about magic, and it's not about cheat codes or God mode in Rust. And you will not see any lead hacks. Sorry. The plan is we'll do 20 minutes of slides. Can you be the timekeeper, Jonathan?
Sure, yeah.
All right, awesome.
Uh,
So we should be done like at 6:50,
Yep.
roughly. 10 minutes of questions, and then 45 minutes of coding video, uh, and then uh, and then you're going to get some homework, which should be fun. My approach: I look up everything. Uh, I am not a genius. Um, you know, I forget all the time, all sorts of things. And so I've just gotten really good at looking things up fast and, researching everything. Um, I feel like, coding for me is I'm an expert at running into a forest and getting lost and then finding my way back out. That's like that's been my experience. Just like write code and then at some point you have no idea where you're going with it and then finding your way back and ending up with a finished product that works. So let's get started. So burrow checker, barely know or best fights are the ones we avoid. I'm sure everybody here has heard, fighting with the burrow checker. My approach when I was getting started is I didn't want to fight with the burrow checker. I wasn't confident enough to know what I was doing. So I just did this, just cloning around, uh, pass by value all the things. I didn't use any references in the beginning. Just pass by value, clone. Uh, it was super helpful. At some point, you can't avoid using references, but that point is far enough along that you'll be fairly comfortable using references and you'll understand the burrow checker. Um, but as your code becomes more complex, it's very easy to find yourself in a deep dark hole when you used references too early. I found what helped me a lot was I just assumed everything's going to be passed by value and then later I went back and refactored things and see where things broke and kind of figured it out from there. As far as error handling goes, that's the other big thing that I ran into right away. What's the best way to handle errors? And that's through, at the moment, and I think there's general agreement about this. There's a crate called Anyhow, and that crate is incredibly useful and helpful. Basically, you import it in your code, and then anytime you want to handle an error, you basically just use the regular error handling in Rust, which is through the question mark uh, character. Um, if you want to add some more context to it, so that you're not just getting you know generic errors, you can do with context. Um, there's a syntax for that. You'll see it in the code when we get to the coding. And there's also uh, if if for whatever reason anyhow is unable to handle the error because it can't figure it out, something's not implemented in anyhow, uh, you can always fall back on map underscore error, ERR, and that takes a closure with a single parameter, which is the error, to catch the error variable, and then you can convert it to an anyhow by doing anyhow uh, exclamation macro, just like you would with context. There's syntax for that as well. There's a crate. We'll look at it when we get to the coding. Um, they've been super, super helpful. Those ones have saved me so much agony. And obviously later when you are getting closer to production, you'll refactor your code to catch errors, handle them, um, so on and so forth. But in the beginning, you just want to know where it went wrong and what went wrong, and that's what I found the best way to handle it is. The other thing that I ran into was dealing with options. I use options extensively when I'm prototyping. Um, anytime I want to take a parameter in a function that may be empty, it's like optional parameter. I use an option for that, and so for handling these, especially when they're returned from something, where you don't want to panic, but you don't want to write a bunch of code handling it. You just want to know that you didn't get it and throw an error. You want to throw an error if nothing, if you got a none value. So anyhow, again, comes super handy in dealing with that, where it's got just a method called just context. So for errors is with context, with underscore context. For options, it's just dot context. And it basically either unwraps it or returns an error. The other thing that is really useful is the try um, idiomatic approach. So basically, when I'm coding quickly, I write everything as returning errors just obsessively everywhere. I return errors everywhere because I want as much um, I want as much feedback from my code early as possible. Later, it's easy to get rid of it, and so I just return results everywhere. I wrap everything in a result, and the uh, the idiomatic way that I understood that to write these is you just do try underscore whatever your function or method name you want to use, and that will help in readability. I'm big on that. That's just a note about that. And the reason for that is that you want to take advantage of the try from trait. This trait is incredibly useful because I spent a lot of time when I'm rapid prototyping converting between types. And this just makes it so much easier in the beginning to encapsulate all of your conversions. and it's once you learn it, it's fairly easy to implement. Again, anyhow comes very handy. There's a certain syntax. I I don't want to show it in the slides here because I'd have to go. I'd have to minimize it. It's in the notes, but look it up. It's something that I can definitely put in an email to you guys so you can see. But there's documentation about it. It's very useful early on when you're rapid prototyping, just to handle all of your conversions. And the other thing that is really helpful for prototyping in Rust that I've found is um, the approach that is used in test-driven development. Now, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I've heard a lot about test-driven development. I've seen lots of talks on it, but I just always found it really difficult to wrap my head around exactly how I'm gonna, you know, start with the tests and have all of my results and know exactly what I'm supposed to end up with and then test against it. So I kind of never ended up doing test-driven development in other languages. It just never made sense to me until I got to Rust. And in Rust, I don't know, I don't know if you can call it test-driven development, but um, basically I write the tests first, and then I migrate my code into into functions and actually build it out that way. Just because I find tests are very easy to keep my code clean, uh, and especially when you're early on, you're going to be implementing lots of different crates. You're going to be bringing in lots of different crates. You're not sure how they work. You need time to play around with them, figure them out. And I just find, and this is myself personally, uh, doing it within tests helped me a lot for so many reasons. One reason is just documentation. When I write a test for each thing, it's really helpful later when you come back to that and you need to update it or refactor it. Um, it's really helpful to be able to just isolate your work to that one area and not have to fiddle with your main code body. So that's been really helpful, and you'll see that in the video. There's a number of other reasons um, that writing the tests first is helpful. I find in Rust it's a really good habit because they make writing tests so easy and it's so comfortable. And I found it made my code a lot cleaner. And so I end up having a ridiculous amount of tests, but if anybody were to look at my code, like if I were to add someone to our Rust team for the web crawler, it would be so easy for them to understand how everything works because there's a test for everything because that's how everything began its life, as a test. And then I literally just, the way I write tests is I write it in such a way that I can pretty much just copy and paste the entire code of the test up into a function. And then that becomes the code that gets executed as part of the control flow from the main function and so on and so forth. So that's a big one. Um, yeah, pretty straightforward. There's not really much to it. Rust is easy. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So thank you for listening. Um, you know, in the famous words of Jerry Maguire, show me the code. So if there's any questions about what we've talked about, uh, please ask them. If not, then I will do my best to play these videos and we'll just kind of skip through them. The idea is, as I said in the beginning of the talk, is just we'll just go through the video pieces. We'll skip in some areas, and we'll. The idea is also that you're able to stop the video by asking a question anytime throughout the videos. That's kind of the point of this interactive approach here, is so that you can ask questions, because the video will be uploaded later to YouTube, and then you can watch kind of on your own and replay and all sorts of stuff. But basically, in that video, I start from nothing and write a crawler that gives us something to work with. But it's actually half written, because the idea is you guys will write the other half, and the other half is basically identical to the first half. It's just on a different site. You'll be crawling a different site, but everything is basically the same, and you'll go through the same steps. And that's it. So if there's any questions, lay them on me.
We have one question in the chat right now.
Yeah, go for it.
It says, can you send that link you mentioned last to
Yeah,
me?
yeah. So it's in the chat, but here again, I'm gonna post it. It's a mega link. It's just a couple of PDFs. And I don't know, do you guys want to quickly go through the PDF? It's like, really basic Rust syntax, really, what it is. It's just something I put together. Oh, the Rust library package. Yeah, so can you be a little bit more precise? Which library package? Anyhow, is that the library you're talking about? Yeah, okay. So that one, you'll actually see it in the video. I assume we're starting from complete scratch, like as though you just finished writing the Rust book and you're discovering this library for the first time. All of them, in fact, like you're seeing them for the first time, and exactly how I did it when I first started Rust. And I'm no genius, far from it. So, you know, uh, it should make a lot of sense. Any other questions? All right, going once, going twice. Hearing none, what do you say we go to the videos, Jonathan?
I think that would be a good idea.
All right, I'm gonna shut this. I'm just gonna turn off the presentation quickly as I switch things around.
Yeah, so presenting video, if especially if it has audio in it, can be kind of tricky through Google Meet. You might have
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
open it in a separate tab and then present that tab.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, the idea is, um, as I said, I'm gonna upload these to YouTube, and you'll be able to see them. And so, this is kind of where, what do you think? One approach is that we would play the videos, and I would kind of just skip through. If it's a problem with audio, I guess what I could do is I could just actually do it live and kind of just retrace the steps live that I did and see how far we can get. Just because the whole thing can be quite long, but I have the code written, so we could kind of do it that way as well. And then, I don't know, let's maybe do it that way. I'll just actually just show you guys the code that's like the finished code, but I'll still go through the crates, just like I did in the beginning of the video, assuming no knowledge. And we'll kind of just go from there. And the other benefit of that approach is that I come across looking like a genius to you guys. You don't see me bumbling around making all the mistakes and the errors and then trying to figure them out. So yeah, how's that sound?
Well, that works. I mean, you can also, at least if you want to, you can still try the video. I mean, it should work if you run it in a separate tab, and you just present the tab.
Let's just look at the finished code. Just because with the video, like who knows how it's going to go. And the other aspect of the video is like, I completely ran out of time. It just took me all day to make it, and like the whole thing is like 3 hours long, and it's maybe just faster for sake of time to just do it live. And I'll still go through the kind of main things. It was kind of like, I guess, maybe like a dry run. So you're not going to miss anything out or miss out on anything. Um, Again, the video will be posted. This will be kind of like the executive summary of the video that'll be published later. I'll at least try to get into the stuff that would maybe cause issues, but at least go over the things that we discussed in the talk. So how about that? That work?
Go for it.
All right, let's do it. So I'm actually just gonna share the screen again. All right. Just actually really quickly, can we get an idea of kind of like what everybody's level is at? Like, has anyone here never started a Rust project through Cargo? Like, Cargo new hasn't even run Cargo new once before. I just want to get a sense. Is there anybody here who's never run Cargo new? Okay, so that kind of that helps. So I'll skip that part. Um, all right, let's just dive into it then. Sink or swim, baby. All right, everybody can see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So the idea I had was kind of similar to how I started. Like, okay, I want to write a crawler. Where do I begin? So first, I need to know what it is that I'm going to crawl. Okay, I don't know if I can do that in this, but don't worry about this. This is just kind of, yeah, don't worry about the size of this font. It's not going to make much difference. You're not going to be reading it on here. This is just to give you a kind of overview of what we're doing. Um, so basically, the idea I had was let's crawl Soma FM, Groove Salad, and let's pull in. One of the things that would be really cool, I find myself once in a while going on here and kind of saying, oh, I'd love to look up this song on YouTube. And so why don't we build a data store where we have the name of the artist and all of this stuff, but then we also have the URL for the YouTube video for each song. So that involves two steps. Step one is to go on here and crawl this site and pull in this data and put it into a data structure. And the next step is we want to go to YouTube and plug in, go into Google, into YouTube. We want to go into YouTube and look up the song via the convenient YouTube query. And the way we want to do that is probably just using the artist name and the song name. So just combine those two, just like here. That was the name of the artist, and that was the name of the song. And you get a result, and we'll just assume the first result is the best result We're not going to second guess YouTube's search algorithm in this case and make a better algorithm. So we'll just assume the first result is the one, and we'll pull that into our data store and make a new data structure that extends this data structure to add another column. So step one is, go to the site and inspect what it is that you're going to crawl, because basically the way crawlers work is uh, it uses a headless browser. At least the way I do it, use a headless browser to load this page, basically, just like you do on your browser. And then you pull in the HTML code, and then you can basically walk the DOM and pull in elements from that. And so if we inspect this, we can see that this is obviously a table. We've got the table here. We can see that it's got a body, and then it's got a bunch of rows. And each one of these is in its own row, as you can see with the highlighting. First row is the headings. They didn't use a TH, which is, not hurting us in any way. And then we've got some weird columns where we've got either a line or we've got, studio break, where it's not actually anything. So we want to ignore those. So we want to ignore the top two, and then any that have this break. And the table, because I've seen it, I'm kind of cheating. I've seen the table. I've already written the code. I know the errors we run into. And so the very last row is actually this separator. And so, we don't want to obviously capture that, do anything with it. We want to ignore that as well. So that's the starting point. So where do we begin? Well, number one, let's begin by figuring out, how we want to handle errors. That's one of the questions that came up. So, let's look at that. Let me just close all of this out so you guys can kind of see the whole process. So first one, let's look at anyhow. So this anyhow crate, everybody can see my screen still, looks like. So this crate anyhow, I don't say anyhow, I say anyway. Anyway, we're going to use anyhow. This is super, super helpful, as I said. This is how we're going to handle all our errors without thinking too much about it. It's going to save us so much time. And it's really easy to use. That's why it saves us time. The way it works is you import it. This is probably the best example here. You import it just like that. And then you make your main function return a result like that. And then you basically write your code, and you use your question marks as you want. And if you want to add context where you want to add some more details to the error, like for instance, where did the error happen in your code? I do that a lot. I put in my error message like, this happened in this function and this line, whatever. It really helps with debugging later when you're doing runtime debugging for like logic, for business logic, not for like syntax errors, code errors, whatever. If it compiles, it works, right? It's Rust's tagline. So that's how the syntax looks for with context, as you can see. This is very helpful. The other, so the three syntaxes that I talked about, where's my, oh yeah, that's right. So my slides, I'll actually I'll give you guys the quick syntax. So this is the syntax here for handling errors with anyhow. So basically, you've got with context, your closure inside, and then you return your error message. If you can't, because anyhow isn't able to process it for whatever reason, and it just keeps giving you an error, like, oh, this type isn't implemented on anyhow, whatever. Just map it to error and avoid all that headache. Map it to error and then return an anyhow, and that turns whatever error you're starting with into an anyhow um, enum, and you can continue on without thinking too much about it. Continue on coding, which is the name of the game. Progress. Just keep making progress. Don't stop for nothing, and just keep coding. So that's the syntax for that. Is there any questions on that so far? Pretty clear. The only other one I'll add here, really simple. How do you deal with options? With options, because I'm no genius, I like to keep things simple. Let's just delete that. There we go. Boom. We just dealt with the option. So this will take an option and it'll either unwrap it, return the sum value, or it'll throw an error if there's nothing in it. Boom. Keep coding. There we go. That's pretty straightforward, I hope. But if there is any questions, just throw it in the messages. I'm watching the messages on my other screen here. If anybody has any questions, this is the time to ask. So that's anyhow. Like as I say, really straightforward. If you have still, well, go to the crate, look through here, like whether you have questions or not. Before you start using it, just look through it. Um, it's great. And I don't know. I just want to mention, like, it's not just my opinion that anyhow is great. I heard a talk recently from one of the core Rust team members, who's actually responsible for the error handling in Rust, and she actually gave a shout out to anyhow and how great it is. And this is kind of like the latest and greatest, because there's a whole line of error handling crates before anyhow came along, and this is kind of like the latest and greatest. And I can't tell you how happy I was when I discovered this. My productivity just like shot through the roof in avoiding dealing with error types. So anyway, not to beat a dead horse, but there you go. Next crate. Well, what's the whole point of this thing is, well, we're building a web crawler. So how are we gonna talk to the headless browser? How are we gonna make calls to the site? We're not going to use curl because that's it's not cool. We're going to use something really cool, something very special. It's called something sexy, Fantaccini. And you too will become a fan of Fantaccini once you learn how to spell it. And that's it there. This is this is kind of my go-to for all of my web crawling. There's the other alternative to it for if you're doing like JSON endpoints is request. This one's really great for endpoints, handling JSON, all of that. Uh, really well written library. Can't say enough good things about it. I don't use it. I stick to Fantoccini. Just, this does it all. It does a lot more, um, and it's just really powerful. Really, really powerful. And so I'd rather spend the time and invest the time learning how to use this one and then be able to do everything in it rather than learning how to use 10% of 10 libraries. Um, so we'll go through this. Um, you know, I'm just kind of giving a rough lay of the land here at this point. So that's the crate we're going to use for crawling. And then once we've crawled it, we'll get a HTML response string. And so then we need to scrape the HTML and pull stuff out of it, walk the DOM. Um, how do we do that? Well, hey, you know what? There's a crate for that too. You know how there's an app for everything? Well, I can't say there's a crate for everything, but dang damn it, it's one day. One day we'll have a crate. We'll be able to put that on a t-shirt. You want to do something? There's a crate for that. So that crate is going to be, well, I don't know. I want to do some HTML scraping. Is there any crate for that? Oh, there you go, scraper. Sounds right. Let's see. HTML parsing querying with CSS selectors. Hey, I like CSS selectors. Reminds me of the good old jQuery days. That's, yeah, that looks good. Let's try it out. See what happens. Break something. So that's useful. That's going to be useful for us. Obviously it took me a lot longer than 2 minutes to find all of these, right? Um, uh, my forehead is pretty flat from banging it against uh, brick walls in looking for this stuff. So the other one that is really useful is HTML escape. As you can see, I've looked it up a few times. Oh, look at that. It's not finding it. Let's try it this way. Oh, okay. Bad Google. So if you do it one way, it gives you the wrong result. You do it backwards, it gives you the right result. So this one is to basically, when sometimes when you pull in HTML from the headless browser, you'll get a bunch of garbled text that kind of looks like this, and it's because it's HTML encoded, or text encoded, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, where it like throws in all these codes in place of like and greater than, uh, smaller than, or less than. Uh, it replaces them with all these weird codes, and those aren't helpful in our data structure. We want to clean that up and actually replace it with what they actually represent, which is greater than, less than, and symbols, and all the other good stuff. Um, so that's what this is for. This allows you to decode and clean it up in one foul swoop, as you'll see. And let's see, what else? What am I forgetting? I think that's pretty much it. If I'm forgetting something, we'll look it up later. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. So let's go with that. Is there any questions so far? Is basically, so okay, there's a question. Crates on top of, yes, crates all the way down, elephants all the way down, crates all the way down. Uh, that's exactly right. Yeah, just like, dry, right? Like this, like my talk. It's very dry. Don't repeat yourself, and don't repeat anything I say here to anybody. Don't embarrass me. uh, oh, right, this is being recorded. Okay, I ought to stop. Is basically the whole page, website, app already rendered and built? So I okay, we're not building a web page or app. This is much more bare bones. When I said Python, I know how you can write a blog in Python in 5 minutes. Like, come on, let's be reasonable. um, what we're going to do is in this, we're just going to hopefully get to the point where we can create a data structure that contains all of the data we need. Um, and then what you do with that data structure, where you want to represent it, whether you want to load it into an HTML and put it on a page, that's up to you, or you can put it in a database, whatever you want to do. Name of the game here is let's create a data structure that's populated with usable data, with the goal in mind that we want to have the playlist with an additional column that gives us a link to the YouTube video for the uh, for the song. Uh, Easy does it. So if there's no other questions, let's dive into reading some code. So actually, before we do that, um, good habit is to actually write down what the steps are. And it's a good habit. I do it because I'm just not that quick. And as I say, like, I've got so much going on in my head that I need to write things down, because like 5 minutes from now I'm going to forget. It's the whole thing of being really good at running into forests and getting lost. I don't have to run very deep into the forest to get lost, so I need to kind of carry around a compass with me. And so this is kind of what we're going to do. If everybody can see my screen, this is our general idea of what we're trying to achieve. So, first step, we want to connect to Soma FM. Let's see, can we get any result from that? All right. And then once we've been successfully able to connect to it, let's pull in the song history. Once we've done that successfully, we're doing pretty good. Let's store that song history in a data structure. There's a whole bunch of little things that we'll run into when we do that in terms of the data that's coming in. Like the question about the rows we want to ignore, and the rows that have, you know, not the right number of columns, and all of that stuff. And then your homework, actually, I'll add that here. I'm not yelling. That's just to distinguish the the heading. Or so your homework is for each song that we've loaded into the data structure, um, load YouTube, do the query, and pull in the top result and store it in a new data structure that is the old data structure from above plus an additional field that is the link. That's it. Like, pretty straightforward. I'm gonna put this code that I've written in GitHub, and then you guys can submit PRs to submit your solution, and I'll actually look at it and kind of, like, give you some feedback for whatever that's worth. So that's the plan. Any questions so far? I'm gonna actually probably speed it up because I want to try to get you guys out in 15 minutes, which is 7:30, I think, when this is all over, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna kind of like really run through the code, but as I say, the slow version of it is gonna be on YouTube as soon as I'm finished cutting it and splicing it all together. Like, I'm gonna try to cut out all the times where I'm sitting going for like a whole minute. So as far as the code goes, it's right here. So basically, what we want to do is when I start this thing, I just basically did an init into the folder where I was. So if I exit out of here, so this is the folder that we initiated. It's called Rust demo. Uh, it loaded the cargo toml and source directory, and the README file is what we were just looking at, which is our plan. The way I added all of the crates is through the cargo tool. I don't like doing it manually. Uh, Unfortunately, cargo tool hasn't added the ability to remove entries, but other than that, you just go um, in your code, and down here you just type cargo add. And so if we want to add, the first crate we start with, anyhow, I would just paste it just like that. Delete that. Add an at. Bada bing, bada boom. Run that. Next thing you know, you're off to the races. It's added to your cargo toml. There you go. Next one I added was Fantaccini, then HTML scraper. Oh yeah, that's the one I forgot. Tokyo. Tokayo is just for async. There's not really too much to read about it. You'll see in the video how I did that. Very amateurish how I write my code, but gets the job done, especially when you're just getting started. But it seems like I'm always getting started on something new. So Fantaccini, HTML escape, scraper. Where you see these curly brackets, that's where we needed to bring in features. So for instance, Tokayo, we need to bring in some features. Fantaccini, we need to bring in this feature or activate it, whatever. How the heck did I know to do that? I didn't wake up one morning knowing that. Nope, I found it on here. If you look through the documentation, actually, so it doesn't actually say it here. Um, you'll find in the video how we kind of ran into that. But basically, if you go to the documentation, right at the top, feature flags. I don't know why they didn't put it in the crate. They should have put it at the very top of the crate right here, because they start talking about the WebDriver, which is, does anybody here not know what a WebDriver is? I certainly didn't know when I started writing a web crawler. So if anybody doesn't know, just please tell me I'm not the only one.
I forgot.
You forgot. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So WebDriver, what is it? Well, don't click on that link because that's really confusing. Um, Actually, the thing, I skipped over it in my video when I was looking for it, but actually it talks about it over here. So with most WebDriver compatible browsers, CSS, well, where the heck is it? I saw it here. Uh, yeah, okay. So, I mean, all right, I'll just do my definition. So WebDriver, actually, I looked it up on Google. That kind of helped, but I'll still give you my definition. What is a WebDriver? Google. WebDriver is a remote control interface that enables inspection and control user agent. Oh my God. What? Yeah. Okay. My definition, WebDriver, basically, it's a way to interact with a browser from your code in exactly the way you would interact with your mouse. It's just that instead of using your mouse, the WebDriver, it's just basically an API. You call the API and you tell it, hey, load this page. All right. It gives you a response, done loading. All right. Next, I want to, so if we've loaded, if we go to Soma FM, If we go to Soma FM and we start from Soma FM, well, the first thing we want to do is we want to click on this link. So we'll say to the WebDriver, find this link um, based on the tag, which we can find here. Basically, somehow we would identify this link. I don't know if it's, yeah, we would identify this link and we would tell it, click on this link. So then it would click on this link and it would tell you, okay, we've done loading. We're now on this page. And then you would tell it, well, now click on this link. And then it'll say, okay, done loading. And you would basically just interact with your browser that way. That's what the WebDriver does. Really simple. There's obviously the thing is a lot more bloody complicated, but for our purposes, that's all you need to know. And for our purposes, we're not even going to do the whole, like WebDriver. Actually, the time you would do that is like that's how Google crawls. That's how the Google crawlers work. The bots, Google's bots. They wrote a bunch of algorithms that basically look for links, and then they send, they spin up threads, and each thread is a different click on a different link, and it makes this web of clicks on all the links. And on each link, when it loads the page, it loads all the links for that on that page, and it launches more threads for each of those links, and it just makes this huge web of pages that it loads from all the links. And then it caches all of those, and it does its magic to index it, sprinkle some Google magic, and next thing you know, you can query it in a database. And that's where you would want to have the ability to click. And so that's it. Any questions? All right, no questions so far. So let's speed it up even more. We've got 7 minutes. All right, so that's WebDriver. That's how I added all the stuff. So as I said, Rust features. Always check if there's a Rust feature that you need to implement, like for Tokayo. If you go to Tokayo right away, it tells you right at the top, what it should look like. So you can, literally just copy and paste that, or you can add it like I did before, and then you go in and manually edit it to add this feature. Because if you don't, you're in for some pain. You'll end up adding it later once you've finished taking your pain, and that's it. So let's assume we've now added all of that, and that took about a half hour in the video to go through all that. So that's done. Then we end up with main, which has got hello world. Next thing I did is I went in and I basically created this folder of spiders. That's where we're going to put all our spiders that main is then going to call. And when it's basically a module. The way you make a module is make a folder and you put a file in it called mod.rs. Boom, it's a module. Well, not quite. You have to still go into main and add it as at the top, mod spiders. Spiders folder name, spiders up here. It's a module. It's now activated, and whatever code you write in here in any of these files is going to be like checked, cargo checked for errors and stuff. And you can actually call it from main and stuff. So then the next thing I did was in here, not in here, sorry, in the folder, I added these two files. So the Soma FM spider and the YouTube spider. This is the one you're going to be filling in. This is the one that I filled in. The YouTube one is basically going to be identical to this one. Copy paste, please. Stay dry. Stay dry out there. So basically, we've created those, and then once you've created those, these are kind of like they end up being submodules. So you bring them in this mod file. You let it know that, hey, we added these two modules, which are right there. Once you add it in the mod file, the other thing you can do is you can actually put them in folders themselves. So there'll be a submodule of the spiders module. And to make that folder into the module, you just create a mod rs file inside that. So mod rs, that's what makes the folder into a module. I want to be as clear as I can on that, because that's something that was also very confusing to me when I was starting. Is how the heck do you create a module? Like, what the documentation out there was, obviously it ended up being helpful eventually, but if somebody could have just explained to me, like, just create a folder, drop a mod rs, and then in the whatever folder it's in, the parent folder, if there's a main, call it up in main as mod whatever folder name it is, whatever, boom, done. Keep coding. So once I went in there, first thing I wrote was, uh, mod tests, bumbled around forgetting, uh, if it's test or tests and all of that. Forgot this, CFG, yeah, you need to add that. And then you can start writing tests. So two things I'll say for tests, they're freaking awesome. I think I've said that already. With your test, you use this macro at the top of every test. I name my tests with a number followed by, description of what it is. It helps when you're doing a full suite of tests. Like if I were to run this here, I'd get all my test results, and it would tell me if some test failed. It's easier to look it up. Anyway, so this was the first thing I wrote. I just wanted to make sure that my module is being read and, I can compile it, everything works. And so, we wrote this, we ran it, here it is. Hello from Soma FM Spider. So that's done. Then we went on to what's the next step is we wanted to connect to the Soma FM, right? So let's do that. So we brought in, basically what I did is I went to the website. That's how I did everything at the beginning, is I basically just went here, and we discovered that their documentation here is out of date, and we actually needed to go in here. And so that's what we did. And I literally just took this whole block of code, copy, in here, paste. The only other thing I did is, because I wanted to, as I say, I like to write my tests so that I can copy paste this code directly into a function without thinking too much about it. So to do that in tests, you can't use the question mark. You have to unwrap or, whatever. So therefore, if you wrap it in a, this is actually, later we find out that this is not the best way to do it. The better way is actually to do a closure. So, I mean, we can do that here, and we'll return a result of, I don't know, something. And then over here, I think that'll make it consistent, unless I just broke it. And oh, yeah, right. Async closures are unstable. Okay, well, there you go. That sucks. Coming soon. But in the meantime, we can always do this. So I just wrapped it in an async block. I mean, this kind of makes it into a function. It kind of, I don't know. Don't lose too much sleep over it if you find that you're really struggling to make it work with question marks for your error handling. Just unwrap and then later when you paste it in, just replace all unwrap with a question mark and just deal with it. No big deal. But in this case, it works, and the reason is because we return this at the end. I think it just kind of worked out. So basically, I just copy pasted it, and then the only thing we changed was well, we changed the port because when we launched our WebDriver. Oh, speaking of WebDriver, let me just quickly. So WebDriver, Homebrew, I use Chrome driver. It works really well to launch it. Install it, Chrome driver. You'll see it in the video. Port, and I just use quadruple 8, and that launches the port, the Chrome driver. There's another little thing that you'll see in the video that I did that kind of is a neat little trick to make it run in the background, kind of demonize it. Anyway, that's that. We basically end up connecting to it. We test it up to there. We establish that we are able to connect. So then we want to navigate to this page, and we do that. And that's basically like literally this code here. Like, I changed nothing. This code here, I changed that URL to what URL we want. We got the result. And then we just basically find that CSS, which again, find locator CSS, which one do we want? We're not clicking on it though. We're actually grabbing the HTML and returning it as a string. And we tested that. We got the HTML working. Everything is good. Okay, moving on without thinking too much about it. I copied that HTML, pasted it into a raw string. That's how raw strings work. I can share a gist that explains all the different ways to declare strings, raw, byte, whatever.
Wait, we are past 7:30.
Yep. So that's it. I mean, basically, there's going to be a video. You'll see the agonizing step-by-step process of doing all of this. This is going to go on GitHub as well. And it was basically just like I described for this one. Go to the crate, copy the example, paste it, edit it, and then onwards and forwards. And eventually we end up with the final result where we actually moved all of our all of our code into functions. We created this little data structure to store it all. And the final test was to run that. And if we run it, we'll get the result that we're looking for. But in the meantime, if there's any questions, so yeah, there you go. There's a data structure with all of the items in it. Play that, artist, song, album. And now based on this, we can loop through this and call YouTube and bring up the search results and store those into another struct. Bada bing, bada boom. Step 3, write your own Google search engine. That's a longer talk. All right, so some questions in the messages. Mod RS turns the things into a module. Yes, turn all the things into modules. Too unstable to get some closure. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That's another good one for a shirt. Antonio, I like the cut of your jib, sir. I like what you're doing. Assuming you haven't specified what I'm doing that you like, so I assume you like everything I'm doing. I love it. YouTube needs better playlists. You know what? Yes, you can, is what I say, to quote a great man. Yes, you can. You can make your own your own YouTube playlist. Like with this, the thing that's fun about this, guys, is like you can take any website, you can crawl it, and you can make it better, and you can like just have a blast. You think you can make a better YouTube, but you don't want to start with like, all the YouTube videos. You can wrap YouTube with your own site and uh, make it better. Just have all sorts of fun with this, right? It's tons of fun. Now, I should have probably started with this at the beginning of the talk, but this is going to be for all of you that stayed around until the very end. This is very, very important. Whenever you're crawling, do it behind a VPN. Do not use, okay, do not make the mistake that I made in my youth of crawling on my own IP, because you will find yourself in a position of being unable to access your bank online because you'll be blocked by every website out there because your IP will be tagged as a scraper. Be wiser than I. I love there's this quote. I can't find it who said it, but brave or stupid, it's a fine line that we find ourselves on the wrong side of multiple times a day. And wisdom is the ability to find out what side of that line you're on very quickly and correct yourself very quickly. So, a word to the wise: use VPN. I use Hide My Ass just because I don't know, they have good marketing and they caught me. They caught me slipping. But there's better ones out there. NordVPN, totally, yes, awesome. There's a whole bunch out there. Uh, definitely do that. The only other thing I'll mention is, yeah, they definitely caught me with my pants down. Literally, I woke up in the morning and my wife is like, "Hey, I can't. Is there a problem with our internet? I can't access my bank." I'm like, "What you talking about?" I try to load the bank. It's like error. I actually went on Reddit, posted it, Personal Finance Canada. It's like, hey, is this bank site down for you guys? Oh man, what a gong show. Anyway, yeah, VPN, VPN. I can't say that enough. But having said that, uh, you know, in Canada, crawling Canadian sites is actually uh, according to our courts, not legal. I have to put that out there. There's, nuances to that. Where that came from was a court case. There was some company that was scraping uh, real estate listings from realtor.com or .ca, whatever. And realtor.ca is like the biggest they're really into suing people and protecting their data. So they went to the court, and Canadian courts decided, you know what? Yeah, screw Google. We don't need Google. So they made it illegal. There's a lot of nuances with that. They were literally like stealing the data that was actually, the most valuable, and they weren't actually adding any value to realtor.ca through their sites. They were literally just like, piggybacking off the data that they collected. So, there's, obviously there's nuances there. So as long as you're not stealing, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. Talk to a lawyer. But if you're crawling American sites, I don't know. Do it behind a VPN, irregardless, and don't try to make money off the data unless you're, adding value. I don't know. Talk to a lawyer, get legal advice. Um, but have fun, right? That's what it's all about. Have fun, learn. This is super useful. Uh, yeah, please don't sue me. Exactly. This is not legal advice. Don't sue me, bro. um, and yeah, there's like in the this is how screwed up it is. In the U.S., they actually went to the Supreme Court and they decided down there that it actually is legal to scrape and crawl, but Canada decided, you know, we want to be difficult. Let's make it. Just Realtor.ca had really good lawyers. That's what I think it is. Um, so if you have a really good lawyer, go nuts. If you got lots of money, you know, I'll be your biggest fan if you overturn that decision, as will probably Google and a lot of others. But anyway, yeah, totally Great White North. That's it. That's all I have. If there's any questions, ask away. I realize we're way over time.
So, is there homework? I think you said.
Yeah, there is. So I'm gonna post this on sorry, on GitHub, and I'm gonna put up the video, um, and I'll put up the GitHub first, and you guys feel free to look through it, play around with it, and the homework is, like I said, in here. Like I said in here, so for each of the songs that's in the data structure that we end up with, run the Google query that's there, and take the results and pick the first result and load it into a new data structure under YouTube module. And yeah, that's it. Load it into a data structure. I mean, that's like 80%. What you do with that data structure, you can do anything. Take over the world with that data structure. Reference to Pinky and the Brain. So yeah, that's the homework. I apologize for all the mistakes I've made in the talk that I'm not aware of.
Okay.
I did spend the whole day working on the videos for the coding of this because I really wanted to uh, really pretend to be a newbie to this. Like I'm doing it for the first time, and I really tried to, uh, retrace the steps that I took when I first started. And so I hope you guys get some value out of that. And you can obviously skip through my bumbling around. On the thing that helped me was that it's been so long since I started that I'd forgotten more than you know, I've forgotten more than I've learned. I don't know if that makes sense. So, uh, it's nice. It's kind of like relearning everything all over again. And so I kind of, relearned it all, but with some confidence in Rust, having been coding Rust for the last year. It's I can find my way around a lot faster. And that's what comes with experience with Rust, is you just are able to find your way around way faster and resolve uh, blocks a lot faster. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your talk. It seems you put a lot of effort into this one.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I was afraid that it was going to look like amateur hour, which I am. I am by all means an amateur, but
It's
thank you for your time.
very, very appreciated. Yeah, like doing videos and everything, like
Yeah,
that's a lot of work. I know. I edit videos and yeah, it
yeah,
can take hours and hours, days,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's I don't know. I just thought you guys would get a lot more value out of me taking my time and like literally making, like, falling down the hill of learning and hitting every bump along the way until I'm bloody and sore on the bottom, but all the wiser for it. And so kind of like it's my attempt of saying, learn from my suffering. So it's a great way for you guys to avoid the same suffering.
Yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
if you want to upload any of your like presentation materials or resources to our GitHub repository, we do also have a talks repository for our meetup.
Okay. Yeah.
It's totally up to you. You don't have to if you don't want to, but
It's a Google sheet or a Google presentation, so I can just give you the link and do with it what you will. I can even paste it into the chat, or I can send it in a separate email to you.
sure, yeah, you can put it in the chat.
I mean, keep in mind that the presentation was just a bunch of memes, so I don't know how much value you're gonna get. I mean, hey, I spent some time picking out those memes, and I actually even made some from scratch, so I appreciate it.
I mean, if you don't want to submit the memes, you don't have to. I mean,
No, no,
I'm not just talking about like slides, right? If you wanted to like submit any code
yeah.
or anything like that, like it's just a GitHub repository.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah. Well, as I said, like I'm gonna post the code that is in the video on GitHub so that you guys can submit the PRs for the homework for whoever wants to.
Mhm.
Um, but we can definitely maybe once the code is finished, once I accept somebody's PR to finish it, I can then submit that whole thing to the main GitHub for the meetup group. What do you think, Jonathan?
yeah, totally up to you if you want to do it that
Yeah,
way. I'd
because
be
then it's a complete solution, right?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's a great idea.
Okay. Um, yeah, and that's it. Thanks for your time, everybody. Appreciate your patience,
All right.
especially with my dad jokes and memes.
Thank you very much. I appreciated your dad jokes. I'm sure I'm
Thank
not
you.
the only one who did.
And also, yeah, just keep in mind in the videos, I am on the tail end of a cold, so I'm super congested. So if I'm sounding nasal, I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I always talk like this, but I want to. I want to make you guys believe that I don't. So I have a cold. That's my excuse. I'm congested.
Okay.
So that's it.
There's someone in chat asking if you could post the GitHub URL again.
Yeah, yeah, I will. It's actually I haven't put it on GitHub yet, but when I do, it will be this GitHub address.
Yeah, and feel free if you if you find that you've forgotten to send us some links after the meetup. You're
Yeah,
free to add comments to the meetup event, and
totally. So this is what the address is going to be once I put it up. But obviously, if you click on that link right now, it's a dead link. There's nothing there. 404. That's right.
yeah, if anyone else, if you want to do a talk at our meetup, just ping me and let me know. And the same offer goes to you. If you present at our meetup, you can also make a pull request into our um, talks repository and upload your slides or any other presentation material there as well. Um, but yeah, I think it's about time we start wrapping things up.
Yeah. And just a quick question: was there like a lot of people that were at the beginning and left, or
Um,
how do you feel?
I,
I'm
I
so embarrassed by that.
I think we may have lost like I don't know, maybe around 5 people.
Okay, all right, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
I
we kept the majority of people.
okay,
People
I'm so
joined.
embarrassed by like I was literally writing or making the slides from like 5:40 until 6:20 with the idea that at 6:30 the meeting starts. I don't know, just put it wrong in my calendar. Ugh,
It's okay. We all make.
apologies. Ugh, I hate it. It's very embarrassing. But yeah, anyway, thanks guys. I'm
Yep.
done.
Great. So before everyone goes, and before I stop the recording, I do have to say one thing. So at the beginning, I did mention this as well, but my company, Bitquill Technologies, has been acquired by Improving. So we're now Improving Vancouver, and so there will be some changes to how the meetups are run in the future. Um, I did see quite a few questions about future plans for the meetup. So let me just try and address that real quick right now. So first of all, the meetups will still be sponsored just not by Bitcoin anymore. Just it'll be by improving now. Um, so that doesn't change. Um, More importantly, Google Meet probably will be going out the window. So improving tends to use a lot of tools from Microsoft, and they don't use Google at all. We're losing access to the G Suite and everything. So yeah, I'm not really sure what we're going to be doing next. I got an offer from the Vancouver web developers meetup organizer to uh, have our meetups in their Zoom, but yeah, I'm not really sure what we're going to be doing going forward, and we might end up on Microsoft Teams. I'm not really sure if they support having meetups like this, but yeah, we will see. Um, and the other thing, what else I want to talk about? Uh, Shoot, now I forgot. It's always like this, isn't it? Um,
One
oh,
thing I just wanted to mention while you're thinking is
thanks.
I did talk about F and chart in the beginning where I'm at, and just wanted to mention we aren't live yet. So if you do go to the site, you're gonna get a broken page. We're in the process of launching it, so just FYI, don't try to register for the wait list. But if anybody is interested, um, they can send me an email or somehow get a hold of me, and I can add you guys to the list for the beta test, the closed beta when we launch in a couple of weeks.
Cool. I remembered now. So someone was asking about, or actually we had a few people asking about in-person meetups. Um, so yeah, the plan is we will go back to in-person meetups at some point. It'll actually be hybrid. Um, uh, so right now, the current issue is that the office has been demolished, so I don't have an office. I don't have a venue. Um, I mean, I've tried talking with my co-organizer Bochan about this, and he tried to get a space for us, but he hasn't been very successful with that so far. So yeah, we will try to have hybrid events sometime in the spring of next year. So kind of soon, but I can't promise anything. Yeah, we'll have an actual venue, and since we are renovating our office, we'll explicitly have a space um, for meetups. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. And I think yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else to say. Thank you all for coming as usual. I'll be posting the recording to the meetup event page in the comments as I usually do. And yeah, I'll talk to you all later if you come to the next meetup. So yeah, take care.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Bye.